Just like so many other people, you might be the kind of person who absolutely loves the Pokemon games and has a nostalgic soft spot for the Nintendo DS. If you are, then you're fortunate, thanks to the sheer amount of games you had available. The amount of Pokemon games on the DS stretches into the double digits, and many of them are beloved by fans. You have access to plenty of the classic Pokemon games on the system, but that's not all you get. There are also a wide range of spin-off games for you to try, thanks to both the Mystery Dungeon series and the Ranger series taking off. Without further ado, the 10 best Pokemon games on the Nintendo DS. Number 10. Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. Almost everyone who enjoyed a Nintendo DS practically had to get one of these Pokemon games at some point. With the classics Diamond and Pearl, or the upgraded Pokemon Platinum, you had plenty of opportunities to explore the Sinnoh region. The 4th generation of Pokemon may have led to a few types feeling a bit ignored, namely Fire and Electric, but it provided you with a massive story to experience. The lore of the world felt even deeper than ever before thanks to the godlike Pokemon found within. As well, the 4th generation changed the battle system immensely, with the physical special split as well, laying the groundwork of modern Pokemon mechanics. Number 9. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Blue Rescue Team. While not every Pokemon spin-off is an instant hit, a lot of people remember the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon series fondly. This is because you control the Pokemon directly instead of a trainer, going on missions as they grow stronger and make more friends. The heartfelt story found in these games is what tons of fans were drawn to. Rather than the standard turn-based combat of the core series, this game sees you crawling through various dungeons and battling whatever Pokemon you come across. It's a major departure from the core series, but a delightful change of pace. Number 8. Pokemon Ranger. The Pokemon Ranger line of spin-off games might feel familiar to the core series with its focus on captures, though many of the game's mechanics are unique. Rather than being the very best like no one ever was and catching them all, you'll be taming wild Pokemon to help you out. The story unfolds through you taking on a series of missions as an official Pokemon Ranger. You'll be handling tasks that have you helping those in need and the local Pokemon population. While the original entry is rather simple compared to its successors, it's still fun to revisit. Number 7. Pokemon Conquest. If you love the idea of the Pokemon series branching out and trying new things, you're going to love how bizarre Pokemon Conquest is for the series. It is a top-down turn-based strategy game that can be compared to other titles like Fire Emblem or even Final Fantasy Tactics. That comparison should give you an idea of exactly how this strange but refreshing game functions. With a whole host of story content to experience in an immensely unique setting, the game is incredibly fresh even today. Number 6. Pokemon Black and White. The 5th generation of Pokemon kicked off in a big way with the release of Pokemon Black and White back in 2010. While the 5th generation was initially criticized harshly, especially for the Pokemon designs, people came around after a few years. Playing from like any other game for the main series, the Black and White games uniquely offer one of the grandest narratives of the entire series. Initially, your focus will be solely on becoming a Pokemon Master, though you will be sidetracked in a hurry when you begin running into Team Plasma. This game also features the mysterious Yin, a character you'll be seeing again in the sequels. Number 5. Pokemon Ranger, Shadows of Almia. Playing similar to the other games in the series, Pokemon Ranger, Shadows of Almia once again asks you to take on the role of a Pokemon Ranger. Rather than being yet another Pokemon RPG, the game is much more adventurous and action-focused. You're forced to deal with the villainous Team Dim Sum throughout this game as you complete various missions. You'll face plenty of tough challenges on your journey across Almia, and that includes the fearsome Darkrai. While similar to the first game, this entry has a lot more to dig into and enjoy, especially for the younger audience. Number 4. Pokemon Ranger Guardian Signs. Yet another action-adventure spin-off game for the Pokemon series. Pokemon Ranger Guardian Signs continues the trends of the previous 2 games. Playing nearly identical to the others, you are a Pokemon Ranger tasked with maintaining peace and eventually saving the region. You once again use the Capture Styler in order to tame various Pokemon, though by the 3rd game in the series, some people were hoping for a bit more from this entry. Regardless, the story is still a blast to play through, and those who love the spin-off series gameplay will be right at home. Number 3. Pokemon Black 2 and White 2. If you can't get enough of Pokemon Black and White, then you're lucky to have sequels that continue the story of the Unova region. Team Plasma is back in the mix, and the storyline is as rich as the first games, if not more. As you make your way across the region, you'll eventually find N again from the previous game. This was the one single time where Game Freak experimented with sequels, and boy did it work out beautifully. While you can enjoy the story by itself, you get the most out of the game if you have already played Black or White. Number 2. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Explorers of Time, Darkness, and Sky. Acting as a sequel to the previously mentioned Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game, this trio of games lets you take control of Pokemon up to the 4th generation. The setup of the game is basically the same as the previous one, but more of the same isn't a bad thing in this case. Once again, you prepare your team to accept a series of rescue missions to complete while you crawl through dungeons. It's not without reason that there are compilations of streamers crying their eyes out while playing this game. While it's similar, Explorers of Sky is the definitive version of this set of games. With more content and features, it's the best way to experience this chapter of Pokemon history. Number 1. Pokemon HeartGold and SoulSilver. A decade after the initial release of Pokemon Gold and Silver, the DS remakes Pokemon HeartGold and SoulSilver were released. These games serve as updated, improved versions of the original games, which were already groundbreaking on their own. Like with the original games, you could travel through Johto and Kanto to become a Pokemon Master. With Pokemon following you, Generation 4's refined battle system, and an expansive story that spans more than a single region, HeartGold and SoulSilver are among the best Pokemon games of all time. And that is the 10 best Pokemon games on the Nintendo DS. Do you have a fond moment from playing one of these games? Let us know in the comments what your favorite moment was. And always, head on over to thegamer.com for lists, reviews, and more.